shout of praise.
Our colleague in Finland, Kasi, does have a PhD in education, and she has very special skills, high skills in pedagogy, and teaches teachers how to teach. So we are going to Finland at this moment to join Kasi, who teaches at the University of Helsinki. Kasi, it's my pleasure on behalf of Nigerian teachers to welcome you to this unique gathering.
Hello. Hello, everybody. Thank you, Dr. Ogudoro, for inviting me to your conference. I've been looking at your cheerful break, which you had there dancing and taking pictures, and that's something which I really would like to. I would like to be there with you and collaborate. So I will talk to you as a teacher to a teacher. So that's what I am. But I will start with sharing my presentation. Wallinheimo from University of Helsinki, and I'm going to speak about how lessons are planned here in Finland and how we make it works and how it works. Few words about myself. Does this PowerPoint move on forward now? So I'm Kirsi Wallinheimo, and this is a picture of me in the springtime or in the April sun. As Dr. Ogudoro told you, I'm the teacher educator, and at the moment at the University of Helsinki, and we have a faculty of education, which we have I'm involved in this research group of diversity, multilingualism, and social justice of education. So, I will start with telling you something about the Finnish school system. So the guidelines for this presentation is I'm going to tell you something about the background about the Finnish school system, and then go into the lesson planning and give you examples and show you some pictures of how we make it work. And in the end, we have time for discussion and questions. So the school system in Finland is built that there is a path for every child to become anything. So when I was playing as a 5-year-old in the daycare or in the preschool, then I didn't know that I would be could reach for the highest degree in education, so a doctoral degree. But there is a path for everyone, and as Hannah told a moment ago, that there might be times that it's hard to get motivated. There might be times to when you feel that you don't get forward, you don't get scholars and those. But in Finland we have the system that if there are struggling, you still have always the possibility to find your way to the doctoral thesis or doctoral degree if you so want. So the pre-primary education starts when the kids are 6-year-old. And they enter the basic education when they are between 6 and 7 years old. And the basic education lasts until they are 16 years old. at that time they have a possibility to get to the general upper secondary school, or then choose the vocational institutions. But still, if they choose the vocational institution, it doesn't mean that they need to go to the work. From there, they can still go to the general upper secondary school and choose the pathway, which is the pathway to the doctoral degrees, actually, the academic degrees. After that, there is the bachelor degrees at the universities. So at that time, students usually are between 19, 20 years. And the bachelor degrees at university and the master degrees together last at about 5 years. So in the age of 26, 28, usually, if you have started from pre-primary education, you will then get your master degree. After that, you can continue to the doctoral degrees. But there is also the pathway for those who have been working for several years, maybe, and maybe get motivated, maybe find the occupation, maybe find something that what they really want to do and study. So for them, there is also a possibility to enter after a bachelor degree at applied sciences and take the master degree and take the pathway to doctoral degree. And something about the Finnish teacher education. The Finnish school system offers equal opportunities to all pupils as a basic education, and it's free of charge. So we don't actually have any private schools in Finland. We have some schools which get maybe foundation from factories or in the industry, but mainly it's about that all schools are free of charge. And teachers at our schools, they enjoy wide autonomy and have flexibility to organize their own teaching. Still, pupils profit from a national core curriculum, highly qualified and academic teachers, as well as research-based teaching. And how can this teaching be so ensured that it's research-based? Both class teachers for the primary school and the basic education and the upper secondary school and the subject teachers are required 300 credit master degree in total. And the teaching and guidance staff within daycare centers generally have bachelor degrees. So this is something which guarantees that all the teachers have a research-based foundation to build their teaching on. The Finnish National Agency for Education is also something fundamental, which can do the planning for teaching, and that's where the policies and the national core curriculum are planned after each 10 years. Makes it a very solid ground for the teachers to work on. Ministry of Education and Culture finance both the National Agency for Education and as well as also the basic educations in all the cities in Finland. The teacher trainee program in many countries, a teacher trainee would be sitting and observing the work in the back on a glass probably, but not in Finland. The teacher training schools in Finland can be compared to university teaching hospitals for medical students, for example. So the teacher profession is highly respected in Finland, and a teacher is an expert comparable to an engineer, lawyer, or a medical doctor. The guided teacher training periods offer each student a possibility to try out in practice everything they have learned during their studies. So it's a kind of combining theory and practice. And the role of a guiding teacher at the teacher training school is of great importance because it enables the student to reflect upon her own development. And the main idea behind teacher training practices is to help the students develop as teachers in many different ways. So I have been working as a teacher trainer, a guiding teacher as well in this university schools. But now I am the teacher trainee at the Faculty of Education at University of Helsinki, and mainly at the moment I'm guiding primary school teachers and as well as subject teachers. I myself have a background with a subject teacher education, so I'm a language teacher and then I have studied my degree in the pedagogical faculty. What is then characteristic for a Finnish classroom? So there are actually 5 important settings. So we are always talking about well-being, belonging, autonomy, mastery, and mindset as well. So here you can see some pictures from ordinary Finnish primary school classrooms. Usually there are about 20 students, 20 pupils in a primary school classroom. In the basic education, in the upper secondary school, there is then from the grades 7 to 9th upwards, there are an estimated 30-35 pupils in each classroom. But the learning environment, the classroom, doesn't have to be a very traditional classroom with chairs and desks. It can also be more cozy environment, group environment where you can work in groups with a couch, with pillows, and as well as it can be an environment outdoors. Outdoor pedagogy is something which is very popular in Finnish schools. So if the weather is not more than -40 Celsius cold, so usually we enjoy being outside, and we also study outside. So let's get to the planning the lessons, how we plan the lessons. There is a core, there is a basic for the theory of how to plan a lessons, and I know that you all there, the teachers are using a lot of time for planning lessons. It can take several hours to plan a lesson, and then you still want to modify it usually. But we can see at planning a lesson from 3 viewpoints. We can start from the research-based viewpoint, the approach, the learning theory, that we have a theory which we ground our planning on. Then we can start from the design, which is quite usual because I know that you follow very strict the national core curriculum which you have, but that's what we also do in Finland. The teachers read the national core curriculum very, very carefully, and they have to kind of show within their teaching that they have understood, and that what is said in the curriculum, so that the teaching in every and each school in Finland would be the same, on the same level, the same quality. And we can also start the planning from procedure. So I was already telling you about the outside or outdoor pedagogy. So if you know that you are going to spend a time in the forest exploring the nature, then you have to start the planning from there. So there are several possibilities. But I'll get you an insight of our national core curriculum, where all the 3 main parts, the content, the objectives, and the assessment, are very important. We have all the subjects, all different subjects, and in all subjects, these main components are very important. Of course, there is a conception of learning. There is underlying values which teacher bring into the school culture, and then there are the students which have to be motivated, and we need to have knowledge and skills of them, and in order to give them a knowledge and skills which they need in life. And most of all, and most of importance is the joy of learning. That's something that we focus a lot of, because in that way we get the possibility to motivate as many students as possible. And I will now give you some examples of the from the curricular in a nutshell, actually. So one of the goals in the curricula is to secure the necessary knowledge and skills, as well as to encourage learning. And it's about that some of the key goals of the reform include enhancing pupil participation, increasing the meaningfulness of study, and making it possible for each and every pupil to experience success. So already here we have this path thinking that the students come to the school and the classroom with their own backgrounds, but we as teachers look after them, and we understand that we have an impact on their future if we can motivate them. And the children and youth are guided in assuming more responsibility for their homework. So that means that we give them homeworks that is their responsibility to take care of, but in accordance with this, also give more support in their studies. And the pupils set goals, solve problems, and assess their learning based on the set targets. So in the beginning of each lesson, almost, so every and each students need to start thinking that what is my goal on this class? What is my goal on this this task? And focus on that. And of course, the teacher has always a goal for everyone in the class, for the whole group. So those goals has to meet. And then there is the learning outside the classroom, and also by using technology, which is an important part. Joy of learning, inspire learning is very important, and technology plays an increasingly significant role in everyday school routines, especially after this COVID episode which we have had. And it's important that each subject at school uses a variety of work methods, giving the pupils chances to learn different skills with each work method. So at the teacher training programs, the students, the teachers to become, they get theory and practice in very many methods, in very many approaches, which they can then implement in their work as a teacher. And assessment is a very important part of the learning process, of course. And I got a question earlier about exams, that when do we have the first exams? What kind of exams do we have? And actually the matriculation examination, which is the one and only obligatory examination for upper secondary school students who have chosen the academic path. So with that exam, it's very important in order to get into the university directly, for example. But otherwise, within classroom practices as the final comprehensive assessment of student progress at the culmination of basic education. So we have very a diversity of assessment methods, which doesn't always mean that they do it individually. And at this point, we also involve the guardians quite a lot. We have a lot of discussions with the guardians. We invite them into schools. We have open doors for the guardians to attend school work and look and see how we study, how their children study, what they do during the day, in order to help the guardians to understand that they are an important part of the whole process, in order to support the students doing their homework and motivate them doing homework at home. So the teacher can't go to every home or every evening to check, have you done your homework? So that's something which that's why we involve the guardians in the work as well. And feedback is given in ways other than report cards. So we use quite a lot of technology these days, that teachers send letters by email or on platform systems to the guardians as well, and the students, that how the day went, what did they learn, what was good, what could you do better next day, and what could you think about. So those are quite important things. Okay, we can also start from the planning from teacher and student roles. So this is a picture from an ordinary classroom again, where the teacher has maybe a significant role. Maybe it's more teacher-led at this time. This teacher is the instructor. She wants the children to sit in pairs or maybe individually to work. And the teacher's task is to instruct and guide the pupils into becoming lifelong learners by taking the individual learning approaches of each pupil into considerations. And the pupils' experiences, feelings, areas of interest and interaction with others lay the foundation for learning. So when you walk into a Finnish classroom, it's very seldom. They say that the Finnish people are very silent and very quiet, but that's not true. If you go to a school, if you visit a school and you go into a classroom, then you understand we are not quiet at all. We are very lively. We talk a lot. So there is a whole time going on some discussions. Of course, there are moments when we need to focus, when we need to calm down and do something individually and in the peace and quiet as well. Here are some examples here how you can start planning in order to get all these parts in consideration. If there is a very strict guidelines for that you have to use the national core curriculum. I know that this is not very unexceptional because in many countries, also in Nordic countries, there are some countries where they quite strictly follow the guidelines in the core curriculum and they have to stick to it. But you can always think that maybe less is more. You can always think about possibilities, that how can you do this and still have the goal in mind, and that's why it's important to think about theory-based. Why do the students have to do this? What are they going to do? You have to think about the objects. We have to think about the assessment, and also the role of the teacher. How to engage the students? How to make it more student led or than teacher led? So how to make the students interact more and be more active, and active studying. And it doesn't always mean if you are studying active studies that you have to speak loud. You can do it in a quietness as well, and while doing something with the task, within the task. And then of course the classroom action. What is it? What's going to happen in the classroom? Are they going to work individually, pair work, or in groups? What are the materials we are going to use? Maybe we are going to be outside and doing something which has with some exercise we're doing, but at the same time we have some maths. Maybe we have to be creative. Maybe we have to think about how we can combine some subjects together, and in that way also gain learning. So a checklist for planning: decide on the learning objectives for the lesson and what will a learner be able to do as a result of your lesson. And if you have 40 or if you have 50 or if you have 30 individual students in the classroom, you have as many individuals, and we think in Finland that we all have our own path in how to learn. So someone is maybe faster, someone is slower, but we usually end up to the same result. So for someone it takes longer, but still he or she will reach the goal. And it's important to put the students to think about the goal. What is your goal on this lesson? Because that motivates them. And then if you are able to put some joy in that, then it's even better. And the lessons needs to be interactive in some way. Involve the students in the lesson as much as possible. So keep them, decide on the breakdown of the lesson. So your lesson shouldn't exceed more than 15 minutes. It doesn't mean that you need to have a 15 minutes coffee break after 15 minutes, but it means that you have to change the method. Maybe you have to change the task, maybe you have to change the material, or maybe you have to move a little bit. Something that makes you think about what you are doing. No, how do Finns do it about well-being? So we have scheduled brain breaks. So we always have a break where for the brain, that where you can sort things out, that you can do something else, you can relax a little bit. Actually, these pictures are from a lesson. In Finland, wintertime, we love to ski. Ski is something we really enjoy when it's a lot of snow. So you can also do some studying while skiing, and some outdoor movement. So schools on the move. So active pupils in recess to be physically active also during the lessons. So that is important. And here are some pictures of maybe you could call this, put this in belonging. So it's important that everyone in the classroom feels happy. You know each other. You and the teacher know the students. So the students are individuals. They have a name. So you feel that you are important. And I must say that maybe all of you can remember the name of your first teacher. Usually that's the person who has had the most impact, biggest impact in your life overall, because I felt so special when my teacher remembered my name within all the 30 students in the classroom after only one day, and it felt that she is here for me. But that was partly true, but still it's very important that you get the feeling of belonging. And that's actually one of the primary ingredients of happiness is belonging. And I read a few weeks ago that Finland is still the happiest country in the world. So maybe there is some point in this. Autonomy. I was talking about teacher autonomy already. So that's something you also should give little by little to the students as well. Give freedom, but give freedom with responsibility. So that's something which motivates students. And always also leave a margin in the lessons planning. So that will also help you as a teacher for doing changes during the lesson when something happens. Offer choices and plan together with your students. If there are any parts in the lesson that where the students also can have an opinion, can say something about how we are going to do it, it's very, very important as well. But the responsibility is a fundamental part. So trust that pupils can manage tasks by themselves. By an early age, if being guided first. Then about mastery, teach the essentials, plan whole units, mind the textbooks, leverage the technology, bring in the music. I mean, music is something which you can bring in many subjects. I've used this in language learning, and that's the way of in the early language learning, especially the Finnish kids learn English by when they start to sing in English, from happy birthday to ABC song. So that's the starting point. And besides, music is always a relaxing feeling. And coach more instead of just giving specific orders. So constructive feedback feeds forward. It's important. And also discuss the grades. Show what's the grades. Show what is your goals for this lesson. What do you want the students to reach for, and make them to put their own goals as well. That will help you to get to the goals. And don't forget the joy. Organize for joyful activities. Have fun with the students. Have fun with the pupils, because that's the way to break the ice, as we could actually say here in Finland. So it's I think that joyful learning is one of the most important things. And every time you meet someone, every time you meet a new student, meet a new pupil, and now when I have the opportunity to meet you and listen to you, it's a possibility of learning for everyone. And here you can see a picture from a classroom. We have been to the forest, and we have been dragging in some things from the forest, sticks and moss and everything. And now we are doing some experiments with them in biology and geography. And here is another task as well. They make the classroom look more nicer and with their own colors, with their own art. So I include in this presentation a video which you can go and look for. But at this point, I give you this picture from the Bay of Helsinki. Actually, I went swimming there in the morning. We have a swimming pool here for the citizens that it's possible to take a ice cold dip in the freezing water, and thank you very much for your time, and thank you for having me again. And now I'm happy to take some questions and comments.
Obviously, if we have to take all the questions today, we may not end it, but I can see everybody here wondering how you people are able to do it. You know, all the materials and resources needed to make it happen the way you do it, and the fact that children have to be involved in the planning process, that they have to answer the question, what do you want from this lesson? And you have a class of 20, it does look like you should be interested in what every child wants from the lesson. So it's not just the teacher walking into the classroom with a document that is called a lesson plan, and which is now deployed. And we did about 40 minutes, and at the end of the day, we'll probably start thinking of writing exams. So it's not about focusing on acquiring knowledge and at the end of a term writing exams to get a diploma. It's more about helping children to discover who they are and acquire skills that will make them become productive members of society. And I had to emphasize, the joy that comes from learning. So it's not just about looking for, who passes and who does better than the other child. Because every child does look like they have something they should be interested in, and they all have to get opportunity to pursue their goals. Did I hear you right? Were you making those kinds of points?
Yes, absolutely, yes. Thank you.
Yeah, so that's true. So with the question some people in the audience may be asking, so how do you manage the time? If you have 30 minutes or 15 minutes or 40, and you have to look after everybody's interest. How are you?
45 minutes. I usually tell my students that the planning lesson can take several hours, but then you can go into the classroom and rest. Actually, you can go into the classroom and be available, be there, because you have your planned lessons with you. You have it in your mind. You know what you are going to do. You have prepared yourself, and then you can be in the classroom and listen and be in contact, be interactive with the students. And if you have 45 minutes lesson and you have 20 pupils, so you should at least have 1 minute for everyone. That's my point. And 1 minute is it can be a long time. It's a lot. But if you notice every student in the classroom, every time you are there, it has such a big impact on their motivation to learn, actually. And it doesn't mean that you have to use much time for individually one students altogether, but focus somehow in some way.
That every child gets this opportunity to express themselves or self in the classroom.
Yes.
All the time.
Yes.
So, that's interesting. And then going back to examination, we worry a lot about that in Nigeria. We start writing exams from the age of 2 because parents are interested in their children taking the first position all the time, and we do end-of-year programs where we give awards to those who have always beaten the rest of the class, and these are things parents are very passionate about. But I hear you say that it does look like exams are not done at this large scale level where at the end of the term everybody has to take a diploma home, and even before the child is 10, it don't look like there's nothing called a national exam or a state exam. You were mentioning one exam children have to write probably at the time by the time they are age 16. Did I hear you right?
Yes, that's quite right. Of course, there are exams after every big sequence. When we have had, for example, maths, they learn something, some parts. So of course there are exams, but we use a lot of formative assessment, which means, and a very large variety of assessment, which means that also the usual classroom activities are assessing. That is assessment already. So we don't always have to put the children to make a test, make an exam in order to put them show what they can. We can do it during the usual classroom practices.
Like comparing students in the class, because over here, parents are interested in how their children are compared with other children in the class in terms of their academic performance. So at the end of the term, we declare who has done best in mathematics, who has done best in English. We rank them, and they have to take a report back home. And a lot of times, too, especially when it's the end of the session, every child, even at the age of 2 or 3, is taking back a report that says she beat everybody in English, she beat everybody in mathematics. What do you have anything like that?
Yes, of course. Finns are very competitive. We want to be the best in many things. So we know about competition, and of course that's very usual in schools as well. Among children, they compare their grades. But we try to educate them. We try to put them to compete with themselves. So instead of competing with their friends. So we don't have rankings about the grades, no. But of course, there has come into the Finnish educational system as well that maybe there are some schools in the point when the students go to the upper secondary schools, there is a ranking of schools which have the best grades, where you get the best grades, and from where the students attend easily to university degree. But so far we still have that ranking list quite low. It's more the media and press which uses that, but mainly you get the quality of education is guaranteed very good in all the schools in Finland.
Okay, so in effect,
the interaction the teacher has with the child in terms of assessment, and this has to be documented. What's that document? You may not be able to show us a live document, but what kind of information is in the assessment report that the child takes home? Are we reporting in mathematics 87%, in English language 86%, and that kind of thing, and then talking about maybe how the child compares with other children in the class?
Yes, we have a document where all the subjects are graded from 4 to 10. So 4 is the weakest degree. So then you get medieval of that. So of course they get a document. First time they get it after the second year at school, in the primary school, and at that time it's only written. There are not numbers, so there is not graded in numbers, but they might say that you are getting better with this, or you are quite good with that, and this is something you have to focus on. This is something you have to train on. So it's more about feed forward culture which we have. But of course after that they get the grades every leave to summer vacation.
Okay. It's about the teacher now. What's the minimum academic credential a teacher needs to have to be able to function in a classroom in Finland, as for example a preschool teacher or a primary school teacher?
Yes. It's 300 credits, so it's a higher education. Yes. Master degree.
Okay, the teacher has to have a degree in education or just any academic discipline?
In any academic discipline, yes.
Oh, okay. So can I take a degree in medicine and end up as a classroom teacher?
Yes, you can. Yes, it is possible. Yes,
okay.
And you can for example, if you don't want to become a primary school teacher, then you can be a teacher in engineering, but still you have to take some pedagogical studies, which is at least 60 credits.
Okay, so what kind of arrangement do we have in place? Who provides the training that introduces the prospective teacher to pedagogy? Is it the university, or does the government have a separate institute that provides that kind of training?
Yeah, we have 5 universities in Finland as whole who provides pedagogical studies. That means we have whom have teacher education. Yes, at the moment. So in 5 universities as in Finland. But then if you want to become a teacher in some vocational or in some other degree, engineer, and you want to become a teacher in that, you can attend to applied sciences where there is also pedagogical studies. But for a primary school teacher, you need to attend a university, so you have to have a university level degree.
Great.
Great. Okay, so we'll take about 3 questions and we'll let Cassie go.
Goals that the teacher and the pupil set before the lesson. So how do you go about this and successfully do it for each and every of your lessons?
Thank you for your question. Actually, we work in a way, and here we work together with the guardians. So when the children attend school in the autumn, we have a discussion together with the child, with the pupil and his or her guardians, and we make goals together, or they make goals together for all and each subjects. So the teacher has in advance already some information about what is the goals for. So they have an individual curriculum, actually, all the students. And with that information, it's easier then for the teacher to start planning the lesson for the whole group, because in that way the teacher is able to choose the right methods for the whole group, and maybe differentiate and do something, choose some other methods for those who needs more support, for example, or those who are more active, or maybe need some other methods. But then when you plan a lesson for the group, in the beginning, it's important to say loud and tell the students what are the goals for precisely this lesson, and make them all to think about, and what is your goal, on what level are you going to reach this goal, what do you have to do in order to reach this goal. So this is an ongoing discussion and reflection which we have with the pupils, so that they get they start to think about that, how big impact they have themselves in their learning. So they start to think that, okay, if I want to reach this goal, maybe I have to sit on my chair within my table and listen, or maybe I have to do some more writing in order to get to the goal.
That's fantastic. Okay.
Thank you for the response. And my question is also related to that. From what you said, it's like the class is fluid, just like the last the person that asked the question. It's like you have a fluid class. I wanted to know if we have a set of topics, or what we can call curriculum. Because if learners have to set goals, and we have to work towards what the learners have said, how do we have something that, okay, like in Nigeria, we have what we already define as what we want to teach them, and then we break it to scheme, first term, second term, third term. Do we have something like that too? And how do we now bring all these goals that we're talking about? If we have a fluid classroom, how do we set them together and achieve what we have defined? Thank you.
Yeah. Thank you for your question. Well, that's a hard question. So actually, but the importance is that the teacher also do her and his lessons and know and study the curricula, and look for those in the text, look to places that where is it possible to maybe do something in other ways, but still still you are following the curricula. Yeah. it's of course not easy, but as I said earlier, the planning part is the hardest part, and it takes time to plan for the whole class. And one point is that you have to know your students in order to be able to make a good plan. But I understand that in many countries, and maybe as in Nigeria as well, that there might be the situation that you need to give a plan already in advance, even before you have met your pupils. So it's not easy to be a teacher every day.
Yeah, so that's the student has made no contribution to the determination of what is going to happen in the class. And the people who run the system at a regulatory level are the ones who determine what they think the child should learn. So most of the time the child has made no input into what has to happen in the class, and so the teacher just deploys what the government and the school where these children then have determined as what has to happen in that classroom. And then at the end of the day, questions are set, and exams are also taken at the end of the term and at the end of the session, and the same reports home. So with that kind of background, people find it difficult here to understand what you mean by the children being involved in the planning process. But I think that how you clearly when you did make a point that planning actually, the way we do it in Finland, it seems to take more time and more hard work than the actual teaching in the class, because the actual teaching is not really teaching the way the average teacher in Nigeria may take it. You observe and you recognize different learning styles of the children. I think that's the point where you are trying to make, and permit them space to express themselves. Did I hear you right?
Yes, that's precisely. You nailed it.
Okay.
I want to ask the pair work and group work. I want to know when to give each.
Okay, thank you for your question. Well, pair and group works are very, very difficult, and that you have to plan that very carefully. At first, you need to know which students you make to pairs, which students you make a kind of working group. What is the goal of the pair work? What is the goal of working in group? And then we in Finland we think that if you work in pairs, we put them in pairs which are on the same level. If we want that they together go forward very fast, for example, a fast track. But if we want that they gain from learning from each other, then maybe we put maybe weaker students with maybe better students who can teach, and the other can learn. And that way, when you teach to someone else, you also learn. So it's a win-win situation. And in group sessions, if we have group work or group tasks, there is more possibilities for scaffolding, which means that as they say in US, no child left behind. So it's a group. They have to make the task as a group. So they are responsible. Everyone in the group is responsible of something, but at the same time they are responsible of each other and take care of each other. The belonging part, that we together help each other in order to make this the best task ever in the whole class. Yes. So,
all right. Thank you very much.
The other one I want to just clarify is competing with. You said something about the child competing with himself instead of competing with the friends. So I don't know how, because I don't know whether competing with himself can be graded or ranked. I don't know, so I just want a bit explanation.
All right, making one child feel is better than the others. Focus is more on what objective am I bringing to, do I have for each task, for each lesson, and then am I achieving it, am I meeting up to my own expectations? So when you say child competes with himself, what do you mean by that?
Compete with themselves means that you start to reflect on your learning. You start to think of, how do I teach? Which is my way to learn this better or faster? Or how can I get? You can start by setting goals to yourself. It's like reaching higher all the time, and that it gains the learner more than that the learner thinks of all the time, that why am I not as good as my friend, or why am I not as fast as my friend? But to start with competing yourself, you start to reflect upon your learning, and that's the most important point in the whole as a whole.
That is done. So can we have that question there?
Yeah, thank you so much, Cass. It's been amazing listening to you this afternoon. Okay, I'm very much interested in the lesson plan. And from what you've said, I've learned what the Finnish lesson plan does, or how it should be. But I haven't learned how I'm going to get that done. For example, may I know the tidbits? I mean, the step-by-step of your lesson plan. I know you said 45 minutes lesson. What do I do in 5 minutes? What is broken down? Can it be broken down? Because the challenge we have here is that we know what we should do, like the Americans do it. But how do we do this? How do we do it? Thank you.
Yeah.
Okay, so what the average teacher here is used to is that you apportion time. So you say you apportion time. So you say you use the first 5 minutes to do this, the next 30 minutes is used to do that, and then you use 5 minutes to do assessment, and the class is over. So when you say, children are accommodated in terms of their individual learning plans, is there like a procedure you have to follow to deploy this, or you don't predetermine everything? You make room for some things you haven't even planned for, and accommodate them as they emerge.
That's true. We usually plan. We think that in primary school, for example, the students can sit still and listen. If we look at the online video, for example, so maybe 8 or 10 minutes is enough and then we start to get frustrated and do something else, unmotivated. So we think that 15 minutes is quite a good time for a pass of something or a task of something, and then we build bridges to another task, and during that bridge time there is this space for maybe a break, maybe for doing something else, thinking, discussing, or the flexibility. So we don't have 5 minute tasks. We have 15-minute tasks, or maybe 10 minutes, and then we have this 5-minute flexibility, which is kind of bridge to the next task.
Cassie has done brilliantly well. But Cassie, please indulge us. Let's take this last question.
Is it possible for you to show us a sample of the lesson plan you use in your school, so that to make it easy for us to be able to replicate here in Nigeria?
Unfortunately, I don't have something here now, but I can send one to the Dr. Ogudoro, and he can deliver it forward to you.
That thing you will send is not likely to be what you will send, because they are still used to a document that is done in terms of steps. I did part of my program in the Scandinavia, so I understand what they're talking about. It's not what they're expecting. We are still struggling with getting, understanding the perspective we are bringing to the table today. That it's not about steps. It's about the child. It's about accommodating, the individual differences in the classroom, and recognizing that these children have their own objectives, which must be brought to bear in the process of teaching. Did that make sense there, Cassie?
Yes, definitely. That's totally true. And thank you for having me. Yeah. And all my love to you, all teachers. It was nice to collaborate.
I have enjoyed your contribution, and do great.
Thank you,
Gunela, for me. Same to Ada. Let them know I'll see everyone next month.
Yeah. Thank you very much. Bye bye.
Yeah.
Thank you.